The Heritage Award is the highest alumni honor given by Robert Morris University. It is awarded for distinguished service and accomplishment in any field of human endeavor that brings honor to the recipient and to the university. Russ Olsen graduated from Robert Morris in 1982, so he's just a young guy, with a degree in sports management. A graduate of Ligonier Valley High School, he worked as an executive at medical device and biotech companies for many years before striking out on his own and founding Triad Life Sciences in 2017. The Memphis-based company is developing new technologies to harness the regenerative properties found in placental materials in order to help patients recover faster after suffering a traumatic wound or soft tissue injury. I may have to speak with you here. Triad has helped everyone from collegiate and professional athletes looking to compete again at the highest level to children who simply want the opportunity to lead a normal life, and even for healing thoroughbred racehorses. Russ and his wife Leanne have two sons, John and Ben. Russ created the C.W. Olsen Scholarship in honor of his grandfather, Clarence William Olsen. It goes to an RMU student with financial need, with preference for students from Westmoreland County. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming and congratulating Russ Olsen. You're going to use that. Okay.
Thank you, Richard. Before I say a few words about the award, I would be remiss for not thanking the trustees, faculty, administration, staff, alumni, and students who have helped transform RMU into a destination university, and for honoring me with this prestigious award. I'd also like to congratulate Dylan and on receiving the Rising Star Award and wish him the best and much success in life. And I'm especially proud to share this evening with my soulmate, my best friend, and love of my life, my wife Leanne. I'm also blessed to have my youngest son Ben here tonight. He's everything a father would want in a son. I'm so proud of him, although he spurned my attempts for him to come north to a certain university. The weather up here is not ideally suited for his southern blood, so he will most likely be attending either Clemson or Alabama. I think it's a pick of whoever wins the national championship. Next fall to study biomedical engineering. And a big shout out to my oldest son, John, who could not be here tonight. He's a freshman ROTC cadet at Virginia Tech, where he and his fellow cadets are getting the school fired up to beat Notre Dame tomorrow night. I'm equally proud of him, and in particular, his commitment to serving his country upon graduating from Virginia Tech. There are other notable guests that I need to recognize tonight. In particular, two special people in my life, Jack and Elaine Boyd, my surrogate parents. I'm indebted eternally for their love and for bringing me into their home and treating me like one of their sons. And also, I'm excited and very thrilled to have my brother here, who I could not be proud of in terms of the young man that he's and the father that he's grown into, and I'm very proud to have everybody here with me tonight sharing this award. I am truly honored and extremely humbled to be this year's recipient of the Heritage Award. I accept it on behalf of my family, my friends, because without them I would not be standing here tonight. I cannot thank them enough for their unconditional love and support. Western Pennsylvania has had its share of success stories over the years, especially on the sporting scene, from the Steelers' 6 Super Bowl wins, the Pens championships, and if I date myself a little, even a few World Series rings by the Pirates. Maybe one day again. And of course, RMU's basketball team beating Kentucky. So Andy, I know you're here somewhere. Thank you very much for that. You know, I know a lot of KU fans, and I know that loss still haunts them. In fact, I was walking through Home Depot, I think it was last weekend, wearing a little bit of the RMU swag that Josh has been so kind to give me. And this one of the workers, he comes by me, And he looks at me sort of quizzical, and I sort of look back, and he goes, RMU. And I said, yes. And he goes, Kentucky fan, I still cannot believe you beat us. So I just smiled and proudly walked away saying, go Colonials. But there are two other success stories that resonate with me because they embody the spirit, the grit, and character of the people of Western Pennsylvania, and what is possible if you dream big and dare to challenge the status quo. The first one was Pittsburgh's Renaissance, which was started by the late, great Mayor of Pittsburgh, Richard Caligari, who led the transformation of our city through those tumultuous times when our steel industry disappeared from the landscape and our future was rather bleak around here. But he saw something in this city and this region that few did and led its rebirth from an economy dependent upon heavy manufacturing to one focused on education and technology, and which now is recognized as a world-class leader in the life sciences, robotics, and information technology. And Amazon, I hope you're listening to this. The second one was the transformation of RMU from a small regional accounting school to a junior college, to a college, and finally achieving university status, which of course is a tremendous accomplishment. And a very large shout out to President Chris Howard for his extraordinary leadership and vision, and I have the utmost confidence he will continue elevating RMU's academic and athletic standards. So how do these stories relate to me? Well, in each case, they really exemplified, the challenges that one has to overcome. And being able to see what's possible. A lot of people say I can't versus saying I can. And so that's more or less my story. It's about a young, somewhat misguided, lost youth growing up in Ligonier, PA, who dared to do what people told him was not possible. So when I say the early odds did not favor me achieving a college degree, let alone being recognized tonight, it's not a great stretch of the truth. I had a very challenging background. At 14, my parents, coming out of a troubled home, they were divorced. Not too long after, my father passed away from cancer. I was a third-generation immigrant, albeit from Denmark, so that one probably doesn't count so much. And like Richard, I was the first in my family to go to college. And I had to self-fund it. So I knew what it was like to have to sacrifice, to work, to save, and to make sure that those monies were being put to good use because they were my monies. But I did not let those circumstances define the trajectory of my life. Was it easy? No. However, with the support of my extended family and friends, I was able to slowly find my way in life. There is a saying that good judgment comes from experience, and experience comes from bad judgment. So I can tell you, my early years were filled with some bad judgment calls. But I did make one very good decision, and that was enrolling at RMU. And that decision changed my life. It set me on the path that led me to where I'm at today. But another decision I had to make really impacted my life and for the better. It's when my grandfather sat me down for one of his pep talks. But this one was different. For context, he was battling cancer at the age of 85. And his concern was not about his health, not about him, but it was about his family, and in particular me. We talked about humility, a selfless attitude, and having self-awareness, which I was severely lacking at that time. He told me about the sacrifices made by him and other family members to provide a better life for me, and did I appreciate it? Well, that gave me great pause, and I realized that I was not living up to my potential. And he wanted to emphasize that I had certain God-given abilities, and it would be sinful for me to not take advantage of them and just be able to coast through life and not make a difference. I will never forget what he said to me and the impact his words had on me over the years. My grandfather's message was very simple. First, remember the girl that brought you to the dance, which is very simply, remember your roots. Remember the people that made you the person you are today. That's one of the things I always emphasize, when I'm talking to whoever I may be talking to, is that I never forget that it came from Western Pennsylvania. I never forget the sacrifices that my great-grandparents, my grandparents, Jack and Elaine, everybody had to make so that I could stand in front of you here tonight. He also stressed these three things that I've somewhat imprinted, I hope, whether sometimes maybe it was a little forcefully on my sons, but do the right thing, not sometimes, but always. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Simple. It's the golden rule. And give an honest effort. If it's worth doing, do it right. He challenged me to be a better person, to enrich the lives of those that I touch, and comport myself in a way that was befitting my family name. I did not want to disappoint him, and in particular my grandmother, Elaine, Jack, and my friends who had all invested so much in me. It was not easy, but I made a conscious decision to plot a new course in life, one that reflects my grandfather's values to be a better friend, family member, and citizen. My grandfather was my lighthouse. I believe we all need a lighthouse to steer us away from the rocks and guide us safely home. That's why I decided to establish the C.W. Olsen Scholarship in his memory. He guided me safely into adulthood, even without him being here, but his presence was always there. And I would like to think that just maybe this scholarship can be a lighthouse to help shape some other young man's or woman's life. My grandfather also gave me a copy of a speech Teddy Roosevelt delivered at the Sorbonne in 1910, which I always carry with me. It pretty much captures the essence of how he wanted me to approach life. It's not whether you won or lost. It's simply enjoying the game of life and, more importantly, choosing to be a participant, not a spectator. It reads something like this. It is not the critic who counts, not the man or woman who points out how the strong one stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man, woman, who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, but there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends themselves in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if one fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that your place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory or defeat. So I dare the students of RMU to go out and find a great cause. Live your life to its fullest and look back with no regrets, and hopefully you can say you did your part to make this world a better place. By the way you have lived your life and the lives you have touched. Remember, it's not where you end up in life that counts, but how you got there. In closing, thank you for this award and the opportunity to share my story. I hope it may be a small source of inspiration to the current and future students of RMU, that they too can fulfill their God-given potential, no matter their circumstances or the travails life throws at them. My message is quite simple. If I can do it, you can do it. Small enough to care and big enough to make a difference. That's us. That's RMU. Have a nice evening and God bless you.